Well, welcome, Shannon, and we will start this off.
Hello.
Hello. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am Vicki R. Williams Cullens, and I serve as the Social Action Chair for the Newport News Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And this is the last episode in our Beyond the Ballot series. We have had the privilege and the pleasure of sitting down and having a conversation with the Clerk of Court, Angela Reason, the Sheriff of Newport News, Gabe Morgan, and the Commissioner of Revenue, Tiffany Boyle. And now, with our last episode, we are featuring our Commonwealth Attorney, the Commonwealth Attorney of Newport News, Shannon Jones, and shortly after her, we will have the Treasurer, Sanu Dieng-Cooper. So, Shannon, welcome. Do you mind if I call you Shannon?
Please do. Now, the cool kids call me SJ, but you can call me Shannon. Whatever works
Well,
for you.
thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So, I have a few questions for you. And the first question is, for our viewers who may confuse your role with a defense attorney or a civil lawyer, can you clarify the specific mandate of the Commonwealth's attorney and what you really do, your role?
Yeah, so there's three kind of attorneys that people generally know about. So it's the Commonwealth attorney, the city attorney, and then defense attorneys. So I'll start with the city attorney because they're unrelated to the criminal justice system. The city attorney represents city departments and city employees. So if you get into an accident with somebody who's, driving a city vehicle, the city attorney represents the employees, and we generally deal with like city litigation.
Mhm.
They have no role in criminal justice. They're only dealing with civil cases. And so most people don't really interact with city attorneys very often unless they find themselves suing the city for whatever possible reason.
Mhm.
On the criminal justice side, we have two sides that are very balanced. We have our Commonwealth attorneys and we have our defense attorneys. The role of the Commonwealth is to represent usually victims, but our job is not specifically to represent them. We're actually representing the interests of the Commonwealth itself. So our job is to look at the best interests of any particular situation and to just try to fight for justice. Sometimes our interests are a little bit different than what a victim might want. Um,
Mm.
the defense attorney, his job is not neutral. It is to get the best possible deal for his client.
Mhm.
So for a defense attorney, sometimes they know that their client is guilty, but they're still going to represent them. They're going to fight for them and try to get them the best possible case. So the reason why I love being a prosecutor is because my job is just to fight for justice. So sometimes, I can hear what a victim is saying, and I can also understand what a defendant is saying as well. And I'm supposed to take a balanced approach and just try to find the best possible outcome for the community. So it's very different than the role of a defense attorney. I would say prosecutors are the most powerful side in the criminal justice system. We have the power to bring charges and we have the power to end charges. So we have a lot of discretion. I get to decide, for example, for a homicide, we'll decide whether or not it's first degree, second degree, manslaughter. Sometimes we make plea offers based off of particular sets of circumstances, and it's up to us to decide what we offer. So we have a lot of power in that regard. But each side, the prosecutor and the defense attorney, they're both very important components. And our criminal justice system does not work without both of them. So we have a lot of respect for our defense bar, even though we're kind of on opposite sides of a case.
So you use prosecutor and I use Commonwealth attorney. Are they interchangeable? Are they the
They are.
same? Can you
Yep.
kind of go into why you may be called the Commonwealth attorney, but you're actually the prosecutor for the city? Can you kind of go into
Sure.
just those names?
So a prosecutor is the general term that we use for the type of work that we do because each state might call it something different. So some states call it a district attorney, some states call it a state's attorney. And so depending on what jurisdiction you're in, they might call it something different. But a prosecutor is the general term for those who represent the particular jurisdiction you're in. So in New York, you'll hear them say, Shannon Jones on behalf of the people. They
Mm-hmm.
don't call themselves Commonwealth attorneys there, they're district attorneys. They represent the people of New York. So every jurisdiction is a little bit different, but no matter what their title is, we're all prosecutors.
Thank you so much for that, because I think we're not always quite sure when to use that particular term. So thank you so much. So, how does your office balance the strict enforcement of the law with the evolving need for criminal justice reform, diversion programs, and rehabilitation? And as I'm aware that you're very much about crystal criminal justice reform, that is a passion of yours. So can you kind of deconstruct and share with us what y'all are doing?
Absolutely. So literally, I was in two meetings today about this. So I'm coming in a really great time in Newport News. We have a lot of new leadership. We've got new judges on the bench. Obviously, I'm 6 months in. And so we all have these like bright ideas for how we
Mm-hmm.
want to approach juvenile justice in a new way. And so we're trying to figure out how to do it. For me, one of the things I've really been stressing to my prosecutors, which wasn't really a focus before I came in, a lot of times we have what are called standard dispositions for cases. And so like if you have a concealed weapon, there's a sentence that we always go forward on those. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to get our prosecutors to move away from standard dispositions because I want for every single case to be assessed based off of the defendant and the victim. No two cases are the same. So the reason why one person might have had a firearm might be very different from the reason why another person did.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have more violent history, and we don't want to just go with a standard disposition for that. We want to look at every single possible case. When appropriate, I want us to reduce charges. Um, I have a philosophy of first felony avoidance, and what that means
Mm-hmm.
is we recognize that a felony conviction is a life sentence. Once you have a felony, you are going to be identified as a felon for the rest of your life. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to impact your ability to get certain jobs,
Mm-hmm.
housing opportunities. It affects a whole host of things. And so in our office, we do take approach where when we can avoid you getting that first felony, we want to try to avoid it. I see a lot of larceny cases that are just a felony because of the value of the item. So
Mm-hmm.
in Virginia, grand larceny is $1,000 or more.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, this phone right here, that's worth more than $1,000. So if
Yes,
somebody
ma'am.
stole this from me, that's a felony
Mm-hmm.
right off bat. And so if I don't have any criminal history, I kind of stayed out of trouble, and there's not any harm to the victim other than the phone. That's the case, and I'm going to reduce down to a misdemeanor and maybe give somebody some community service instead of
Mm-hmm.
giving them that felony offense. So we really want to take a very intentional approach to how we're prosecuting cases. We
Mm-hmm.
are working overtime trying to put in some programs in our juvenile court system. And so I met today with Dr. Mitchell, our school superintendent, and Dr. Bess, our school board chair,
Mm-hmm.
and just talking about how we can do more information sharing. What I found is that on the juvenile side, schools knows way more about the kids than we do. And I want as much information as possible when I'm deciding a disposition for a young person. And so we are working to, number one, start sharing information. So if there's more services that we need to put in place, I'll know to request those. If there's community-based programs that the school is working with they've got a great relationship with, I want to incorporate some of those things into the sentences we're asking for. So we're really trying to take a holistic approach to each individual defendant to make sure that we're not just trying to get a conviction and move on. One, I want to figure out how you got here, what's going
Mm-hmm.
on. And then two, let's really be invested in taking that holistic approach to address some of those issues, because sometimes it's not just the juvenile defendant that's having some trouble. Sometimes it might be mom, it could be other individuals in the household. So that's what we're starting to do. And we've realized that we cannot do that by ourselves. I really need schools to be involved. I really need our community partners. We got a lot of
Mm-hmm.
community-based organizations. My churches, they have been fantastic. I have so many faith leaders reaching out to me, trying to figure out ways to get involved. And that's stuff that we've never had in our court system. trying to plug in and having faith leaders in a courtroom with us advocating for a young person and kind of taking that responsibility for I'm going to help him too, in terms of getting on track. I'm part of the team and I'm going to be present and showing up to court and making sure that he's on track because we want that community-based side of things, and it doesn't have to be court ordered to have those individuals who are helping us. So I'm 6 months in. I got a lot of big ideas. It takes some
Sure.
time to implement things, but the first part was kind of a mental shift and a cultural shift in how we look
Sure.
at cases. We got to look at each individual case. Each defendant is different from the next one, and each victim is different from the next one. So we want to just take that holistic approach. And the last thing I'll say is I have been focusing on kids so much. I have got a new program in Heritage High School. I got a program at Hines. I got a program at Ella Fitzgerald. I'd already had a program at An Achievable Dream. And so to be 6 months in and already have gotten into 4 schools, I think is a huge thing. And we're just going to keep going. So I'm just trying to touch as many young people as possible. But I'm trying not to, I'm trying to give myself a little grace because I haven't
And
done as
you
much as I
should.
wanted, but you know.
And you should. I mean, information is power. When people realize that these programs exist and being able to inform and engage the community so that it doesn't seem so scary
Yeah.
when they connect with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. But as you probably are very much aware of, a lot of domestic violence has been going on throughout the community. And unfortunately, our community has suffered from femicide. And just how are you addressing the domestic violence situation when it comes to protective orders and things of that nature? Could you kind of go into how that works and what a person who has been impacted by domestic violence, because they're not always women, they could be children, they
Right.
could be men. So, how can they connect with you and how can you support them through that?
So for most of the cases that we get, these are very delicate cases. They are very challenging. Oftentimes, by the time a case goes to court, a couple of months has passed from the time of an incident. And so what I find very often is those two people have made up now. Like whatever problems they had, they've moved on from. And now here we are bringing them into court and, bringing up all this old stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it is very common for our domestic violence victims to not be cooperative at all. Because
Mm-hmm.
quite frankly, they're mad at me now. Like, you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to prosecute my man. And so those are really, really tough. I've always taken a perspective as a prosecutor and now as the elected Commonwealth attorney. We have to understand the dynamics that's going on in that relationship. People are not going to want to come to court. And my main priority is for people to know that the system is not against you. So I don't want for somebody to feel like I forced you to come to court and to testify against your man.
Mm-hmm.
And now I put you at risk
Mm-hmm.
because he might be mad because you testified. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to come across as the enemy. So my perspective has always been to, one, just acknowledge that. Like, start the conversation off when a person has some hostility towards you and just kind of say, so just want to see where you guys are. Like, are you guys in a good place? Because if
Mm-hmm.
they are, you have to acknowledge that. Like, that
Mm-hmm.
person is not going to want to go to court. And so talking them through it and saying, like, well, this, we do have this incident. You have been subpoenaed. I do need you to come. And I'll usually try to say something like, do you think they would benefit from some anger management? A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times they'll tell me yes. And I'll say, well, what do you think about us doing a deferred disposition where there's not a guilty finding, but maybe we just push the case back. They'll do some anger management. And if there's no other problems, then we'll dismiss it down the road. A lot of times I can get somebody on board for that. And for me, that's good because I can put some services in place and
Mm-hmm.
they don't have to testify in court and they won't feel like they went against their partner. Now, sometimes that doesn't work and they get subpoenaed, they show up to court and we put on a trial. But the really important thing for those who do the work, we know that it'll take people 5, 6, 7 times to say they're going to leave before
Mm-hmm.
they actually do leave. And
Mm-hmm.
in between all that, you got court cases, you got custody issues, you got all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things that are happening. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes their anger is not directed towards you. You're
Mm-hmm.
just the person that is being, let out on. And so, domestic violence is the toughest thing. All I want each person who goes to court to know is that we are on your side. I say you can call the police 100 times. We can do this over and over and over again. You can come to
Mm-hmm.
court, say it didn't happen, case gets dismissed, you call 911 again. I always tell people call 911 as many times as you need. Don't ever hesitate because I want for folks to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
If you have people who are feeling unsafe and they're trying to get a protective order, they can absolutely call our office and speak with an advocate. We have folks available for that. There are legal standards for when you can get a protective order. And
Mm.
sometimes the legal standards apply, you're just not saying it in the right way.
Ah,
So
that's
I can
different.
so I can ask some questions. Like sometimes we minimize what we're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'll say like, are you scared for your safety? Well, I don't think he's going to do anything, but I'm just worried. Well, if you say that, then you're not going to get the protective order.
Right.
There's the standard is an imminent fear of danger. So you have to tell me that I think that he could come to my house and kill me today or harm me today.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be imminent, not like, oh yeah, maybe one day he might. And so it's just some of those things that the way we speak in a
Mm-hmm.
courtroom that
Mm-hmm.
that is not going to be effective. You might talk that way outside, but when you're in a courtroom, it's not going to get you what you want. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
ask some questions like, is he really dangerous? Do you think that he's going to harm you? Yes, I'm really scared. Well, you got to say that, girl. You got to say that in court. Don't minimize it. That's
Right.
not going to get you what you need. And so we can walk through some of those things with folks and help them get the help they need. It's kind of funny because my campaign manager, I did not know her when I met her. She was a mom whose daughter was being stalked and she was trying to get a
Wow.
protective order. And my
Wow.
pastor called me and was like, I need you to help this woman. She goes to our church and she's trying to
Mm-hmm.
get a protective order. And I called her and she told me the story and I said, you're not saying it right. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
you have what you need to get the protective order, but this is how you have to say it. And she ended up getting the protective order and she called me. She was so frustrated about the system and she said, Shannon, like, this is wrong. How do we fix the system? Like, everybody doesn't have a pastor who could just call a lawyer and get
Correct.
the information. And I said, it's funny you asked that because I'm planning on running for Commonwealth's attorney. And she ended up being my campaign manager, which worked out so great. It was kind of because she had a personal connection to me. But
Absolutely. And it's funny because I think that you have folks who've been impacted by domestic violence and they're trying to navigate maintaining the father or the mother still in their lives, trying to make it not seem too bad, but bad enough so that they will
yes,
stop, trying to
yes,
make sure that they don't lose their job so they won't be impacted by child support. So there's a multitude of barriers. Now,
absolutely.
the victim witness program, how is that integrated into this very situation? I know that they are not the only people that they support, but as we move from domestic violence and then families who have lost their loved ones to violence.
So our victim services unit gets assigned whenever we have a case that relates to domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
So you're automatically assigned someone, even if you don't want one. You have an advocate assigned to you. Their role is to be a support system for you through the court system, but very oftentimes they are helping with other issues that might be going on. So it's not just to help you testify. We have a lot of women, and I'm saying women because it's predominantly women, but we have a
Okay.
lot of folks that we work with that are unhoused. And so maybe they were living with their partner, they've been put out. And so we'll work with some of our community partners to find housing options. We have individuals who are dealing with food insecurity or unemployment. So we work with a lot of different agencies to address those issues. So it's not just about the crime itself. We're really working to try to get folks back on track. Our
Mm-hmm.
director of victim services is Malik Bryce, and he is absolutely fantastic. And the
Yes.
reason why, because obviously everybody who's in my office is new. Like I picked brand new people to serve in certain roles.
Sure.
And I really wanted Malik to be in this role because he was so involved in our community. He's an Omega. He just
Yes.
knows a lot of people. A lot of people like him. And it's
Yes.
been really beneficial to have somebody like him that can bring resources to our office that we did not have before. And that's really something that we can pour back into the individuals that we're providing services to. So it's not just about court. We also, even if you don't have a court case, you can call us and get information about services. And so we're very open. We come out in the community. We try to do tabling for different events. If anybody ever wants us there, we're always happy to be present and have resources and just folks for people to ask questions to. Um, because we know that sometimes people aren't going to come to us or call us, and it's just beneficial for us to be out in the community so that individuals will have access.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because when you think about the victim witness director and his team, you're really just thinking about just how they're going to navigate through court. So it's good to know that there are other integrative services, more comprehensive services that you understand that holistically it's not just that particular outcome that you've been
Absolutely.
impacted by a crime. There could be other integral issues that keep you in a space where you would be in a situation that would be problematic. So thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for shouting out Malik Bryce. We all know him very well. And we're glad to see that he's on your team with just his personality and the way how supportive he is in the community. So thank you for that. So, how does your office ensure transparency and build trust with the community, particularly about these high sensitive and high profile cases? Because when it's a high profile case, in the land of social media, we want
Yes.
answers right now. It
Yes.
doesn't always work that way. Could you share with us how you handle that?
Yeah, and so I'm gonna be really transparent right now,
Let's
and
do it.
I'll tell the ladies on here. I was telling Vicky I did not read the questions in advance, so you're just getting my raw answers. So that's something that I am learning. Um, and I will share that prior to me coming in office, we haven't really been tracking things. So um data does not exist. So I've got a lot of requests for data about different things, our convictions, our how many cases we're actually diverting, how many people get rehabilitation, like all these, it was not tracked before. And so one of the things that I had to learn coming in is I have to do some of the technology stuff. And we're trying to build out a system that will automatically track some of these things. So that has been hard. But for the high profile things, and I'll speak to something that happened really recently, the police officer who pointed a gun at some kids in
Mm-hmm.
City Center.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first like high profile situation that I was involved in. That was totally a learning experience for me. Um, I came into the police department. I watched all the videos. So there's a lot of stuff that did not get released to the public,
Mm-hmm.
but I watched the full body camera video, and I used to be a city attorney, so I used to do this all the time as a matter of course. And what I've learned is there are legal and policy standards for these things, and that's one standard. And then there's a community standard and how we want for our officers to treat us. And we
Mm-hmm.
have to figure out a way to talk about both. And that's my fault because I walked into that situation like a lawyer and I was like, well, I know the
Mm-hmm.
legal standard and I know the policy standard and it's justified under the law, meaning that no charges should be brought against that police officer. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, internally, we had conversations about what in the world are you pulling? Like, yes, legally you could, and yes,
Right.
policy wise you could,
Right.
but why did you? And
Right.
like thinking about those scenarios. And I had great conversations with our training academy, with the folks whose job it is to train officers on policy. We had some great conversations about how to avoid that, why it's a bad look. One of our captains said it was lawful but awful, and it's not what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I got to figure out how we can talk about both those things at the same time. Um, I think that it's for the community, a lot of people, including myself. I mean, seeing that video, I was so scared. I knew the outcome. I knew that the
Mm-hmm.
officer was not going to fire the gun. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that we put ourselves in the shoes of that young man who was the driver and the
Mm-hmm.
fear that he probably felt.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we immediately feel sympathy. We want to protect our kids. And
Mm-hmm.
we know that there's some historical things where we know that there's not always justice when things
Mm-hmm.
happen involving our community. So
Mm-hmm.
I understand the reaction, and I really do wish that we could have had some conversations in a better way, because what I've also learned is the internet is a lawless place and
Yes,
people say
ma'am.
whatever they want on the
Yes, ma'am.
internet, and it could be really counterproductive. And it was funny because the night that that happened, I had a community forum at a church. And we talked about it in the church, and we had a really good conversation about it. And we had parents present, and they really talked about what they went home and talked to their kids about.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big learning experience for me. I will not approach the next situation the same way. I will not be just a lawyer being like, okay, like based off of the law, this was legal. This was
Mm-hmm.
based off of the policy. This is compliant with policy. I will absolutely think about both sides. And to be honest, that's what it means to be a politician, which I'm new to. I have to balance those things. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not just a lawyer. So, to answer your question, I'm learning how to navigate these high profile cases from a community standpoint and a citizen standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
and what we want to see from our police officers, how we want for them to speak to us, how we want for them to respond to us. And I have to make sure that I represent both sides, not just the law, but representing the community and making sure that we always feel like we have a voice. And I think that, so far since I've been in office, we've had 5 murder cases. We've gotten convictions on all of them. We haven't really talked about it. And I'm still learning how to talk about those things, because yes, it's always great to get justice for the families, but
Mm-hmm.
I do want to acknowledge that there's another family that's losing somebody, and it's really
Right.
difficult for them at the same time. So that is my work in progress. I'll be honest, coming in 6 months, that's probably the biggest thing that I'm learning how to navigate media is different, and I'm nervous about it. Like, I'm before I got on this call, I had somebody from the Virginia Pilot reaching out to me, and I was like, "Oh God, like I hate talking to the media, but it's part of the job, and I
Yes,
have to
ma'am.
learn it." And I just think that transparency is so important. I want to get comfortable with talking about the things that happen and making sure I'm engaging with the community. And so for now, my safe spot is having these discussions. I like the forums, I like the conversations. This stuff is good. I'm going to learn the media. I'm going to be putting more things online. I want
Mm-hmm.
to get a professional. I want to get a public information officer in my
Yes,
office
ma'am.
to help do some of that stuff. But those are all goals, and so hopefully we'll see that stuff rolling out in the months to come.
Well, that is fantastic. And I appreciate your ownership of it. And I appreciate that you've looked at it from a different perspective. And you're like, okay, now when I go into these things, I need to seek to understand as opposed to being understood. And that is
Yep.
a process. That is absolutely a huge pivot. And I applaud you for at least taking an opportunity to do some reflection because it's
Yes.
scary. It's scary
Yes.
because all of us, we saw it and we're looking, we're thinking instantly because our history
Yes.
does dispel that that could not happen because it absolutely could happen.
Right.
That even though lawfully the process and the procedures were correct, but the optics were
Exactly.
problematic. So thank you so much for just owning it. I don't know if it was a
Absolutely.
fault though, Shannon. I think it's just a learning experience. So, and you've been in this game for like 6 months. So you need to
Yes.
be kind to yourself too.
I'm thankful that it happened in a situation where everybody walked away from it.
Mm-hmm,
And,
mm-hmm,
like a lot of lessons are learned.
mm-hmm,
Should something, God forbid, worse happen, I'm gonna know how to navigate that. And my job is to be the voice of our community. And so I just
mm-hmm.
want to make sure that I always remember that and approach the situations from the like representing the community, even if, the law doesn't support what the community is saying. I want to still give that a voice, and that's really important to me.
Thank you so much for that. So let me ask you this. Is there one service that your office provides that the residents do not know exists?
I think the biggest thing that people talk about that well, okay. The obvious thing is expungement.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I
let's
think,
talk about that. Let's talk
okay.
about expungement. Let's talk about expungement. Are
So
we talking
expungement
about,
goes,
hold on, are we talking about expunging um misdemeanors? Because people think that you can expunge felonies, and I don't believe you
right.
can do that. But
That is correct.
I also believe there is a sealing of the record. Can you talk about both of them?
Yeah, so that's coming up soon. So, right now, our expungement law allows you to, it's very limited. So you
Yeah.
can expunge charges that have been null pros that you were found not guilty for. It's basically stuff that was not a conviction that when
Hmm.
people run your record, it comes back up. So you
Hmm.
go through a process, and my office is involved in that. And you start off at the clerk's office, by filing the paperwork, and it comes to us, and we have a designated attorney whose job it is to just handle the expungements. And so we review those and we just push them through. Now, come July 1, there's something called automatic sealing. And we're going to be doing something. So Angela Reason, our clerk, is going to be
Hmm.
doing a conversations with the clerk. So we're going to lay all this out. But basically, under state law, there's going to be certain charges that will automatically be sealed. And like you don't have to do anything. And it's all you have to do is like file a request, and then like we take it from there and it gets
Hmm.
removed.
Hmm.
So Miss Reason is gonna walk through how that is all going down. I think that that's gonna be crazy because it goes back to like all charges before, I don't even know what it was, like going back to like 1995. There's certain
Oh,
charges that can
wow.
automatically be sealed, and so it's going to be a lot, and that's going to be very, very intensive on the clerk's office. But we are literally still trying to figure out how we're going to implement this. But it's certain types of offenses. It happens automatically. You just have to file some paperwork, and then they take it from there. Um, and we'll see how it rolls out. So those are the things that come through our office that I don't think most people know. But
Okay.
I think the common thing that once I talk about it, people will ask me about is the programs that I do in schools. And sometimes people will say, like, they're familiar with my STARS mock trial program. It's only at an achievable dream. And so they'll say, like, hey, my kid goes to Warwick. Like, can they get in? What I'm trying to do is build relationships with schools. And a lot of the schools, like, I don't already have an in. So if you're a parent and you have a kid at a school that you're interested in, we have a legal academy that we do for our middle school students.
Hmm.
We've got some work that we do with elementary school kids. So we have a lot of different programs, and there's a lot of schools that we haven't gotten in yet. And so if you're interested in having the Commonwealth Attorney's Office do a program in your school, then if you're the connect me because like
I
that's what we're
love
trying
that.
to make happen. And I have Terry Bonner is my outreach coordinator. He's the one, he's always outside, he's in the streets, and we're just trying to get things connected. But the schools is my favorite part. I love working with our young people, and all the different programs have their own little flavor to them. It's specific to the school and like what the kids want. So there's a lot of flexibility. And it's just important. We don't just want to be focusing on prosecution. We really want to focus on community. So that's the part I don't think people realize unless we came to your school. You don't realize we're doing it. But please spread the word because I would love to be in more schools this coming up school year.
Absolutely. And we have a couple of programs, and Adrienne Graham, she's the chair of our Embody committee. So we definitely will be reaching out to you. And she just dropped something in the chat for you, Shannon.
Yes. If you want to schedule a meeting with me, if you go to the website, which is nncwa.com, there's just a link that says request a meeting, and you just fill that out, and it just goes to my person who handles my schedule, and we'll get a schedule.
Absolutely. So, what do you want to leave with the audience? One thing that is really, really important to you, as well as share with them your contact information again, as well as your website. So, what do you want to leave with the audience that they need to walk away from tonight?
I think the biggest thing that I have learned since I've been in this job is that, well, I think we all know everybody has a story.
Mhm.
And I have really found the power of second chances. I've been here for 6 months, and I picked up dockets my first month. I was going to court, And I have absolutely been following those cases. And I think that we have to recognize the power of community because I have been personally invested in these cases. I have talked to people's pastors, I have talked to their teachers. There is so much that we can do as a collective, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that that is how we have approached criminal justice before. And so everybody's in all these different silos, but we're all touching the same people. And
Mm-hmm.
so opportunities to connect is just so important. I'm trying to build my arsenal of folks who can pour into families, pour into our young people, and I really want to have as many community connections as possible. So I want to leave with us the power that we have together as a collective. And like I said, my website has a little link to request a meeting, to invite me to stuff. So if you guys have a meeting and you just want me to come to that, then we can do that. But just the opportunity to build these connections, it's like a web.
Mm-hmm.
And over the past 6 months, I meet one person and they connect me with somebody else. It's starting to get so big, it's stressing me out because it's almost out of control. But it's fantastic. It's so fantastic. And really being able to see it directly affecting people. Just like I said, Malik has contact with community
Mm-hmm.
resources, and every
Mm-hmm.
month we learn something new about another organization or another contact or somebody else that we can connect with. And I think that that's so beautiful when we are not just focusing on prosecuting convictions and locking folks up, but
Mm-hmm.
we're really trying to get people back on track. It makes our community stronger when we take that approach. And so that's what I'm trying to do, but I cannot do it by myself. It takes a village, and I
Absolutely.
want y'all to be a part of my village to help me do this. Um I try to be as open. I run all day long. If you ask to meet with me, if you ask for me to come to something, if I can do it, I'm going to be there. I'm a very outside kind of Commonwealth. So I'm not in the office a lot. I try to be in the community engaging. And so please don't hesitate to reach out about anything. I'm always happy to connect.
Well, we definitely appreciate it. And this was our opportunity with the Beyond the Ballot series just to reintroduce to the community the constitutional officers because it just seems like once everybody's elected, it doesn't seem as if people really understand what y'all do. And so we certainly appreciate you, the chief prosecutor, the Commonwealth attorney of the city of Newport News, coming together with us to inform, engage, and empower the citizens of Newport News. So thank you so much. And give us your website again and the name of the person that we can connect with.
The website is www.nncwa.com. So Newport News Commonwealth Attorney.com. And if you just fill out the form to request a meeting, it goes to the right person, but her name is Yvette Kress. And so she
Yes.
gets all the requests and she'll take care of everything from there.
Yvette is wonderful, very responsive, very just kept me together. So I appreciate Yvette. Yvette, if you're on, I appreciate you. Do we have any questions from the audience for Shannon? If so, please drop it in the chat for us. We'll give folks a minute, Shannon,
And you
and
can
see if we
ask
get.
me anything. That's what I agreed to.
Shannon said you can ask her anything. See what we got here, Shannon. See if we got anybody.
I know you guys are dying to ask me what law school I went to. I'm glad you asked. Howard University, the real HU.
Now, why'd you want to do that?
I chose
Know how many
violence. All right, I take it back. I take it back. I don't want the
Do you
smoke.
even know how many people from Hampton are probably on this call?
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm just
Oh, you are perfectly fine. We have a good
kidding.
time teasing each other about the different HBCUs we've attended. And I think she's Erica Calicut. I think she got her her master's in divinity from Howard. But I'm sure we got some Howard folks up here. So,
Yes.
but
We're
Shannon,
outnumbered. We're outnumbered here. Every time we turn around, Hampton people are bringing the smoke. So I got to do it every once in a while.
every now and then. Oh, Erica just cleaned it up. She got a master's of social work from Howard.
Yes. Yes.
So you got a few allies up here. You got a few bisons
I
up
need a
here.
few.
Just a few. But Shannon, we really appreciate your time. We appreciate you just being available and joining us here this evening. And we hope that you hang out as we bring Sanu on to talk about what's going on in the treasurer's office. We invite you to hang out with us.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much for having me. I
Oh,
hope
it's
to come
been a
back.
we will bring you back. I have some ideas.
Sounds great. Thank
Yes,
y'all.
ma'am. Thank you so much, Shannon. We
Thanks.
appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye. Sanu, are you on? I'm not sure if Sanu is on.
I am,
Hello,
and
Sanu.
that
Do
was
you want to
great.
wait till give you a few minutes? Do you want to wait till 7 or would you like to just come on now? Whatever is your pleasure.
I am on your show, so you tell me what you prefer.
Well, I would like to be very mindful of your time, Sanu, and we just appreciate you jumping on early. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Y'all, we have our very own Sanu Dieng-Cooper, who is the treasurer of the City of Newport News, and we are excited to close this series out with you. We just appreciate your time, appreciate you being here, and want to start off with uh let's see, what is my first question? All right. In Virginia,
Yes.
the treasurer is a constitutional officer elected directly by the people. Can you explain why this independence is crucial for managing the city's revenue and how your role differs from the commissioner of revenue?
Okay. So let's first start out with my role. So I'm an elected position. So I work directly for the people of Newport News. I don't report to city council or the city manager. I'm not appointed by either one of those bodies. And I also don't answer to any department head. Again, accountable straight to the people who drop off their payments here. And so that independence is important in our system's government, and it's not done it's done intentionally, I'm sorry, for just checks and balance. And so while you have your city council, which casts vision, right, and initiatives that they want to support, and city manager and with their team that carry that vision out and run the day-to-day, may raise taxes or keep taxes the same as we did here in Newport News, or spend revenue, the treasurer works independently. So we collect the funds, most importantly, safeguard the funds, and then ensure that all of the city's bills get paid. It's important to have that separation of authority, that people that are doing all the day-to-day, you're not spending all the money. We're able to kind of work in tandem with the Department of Finance on the city side, with budget, who outlines how money is going to be spent based on what city council approves, to make sure that all gets done. So we all work together, but we do have some segregation of duties, as we would say. And as it relates to the Commissioner of Revenue's office, which a lot of people confuse the functions of both of our offices.
Yes, ma'am.
Tiffany, who I know was earlier on Beyond the Ballot,
Yes,
she is the person that assesses the taxes. So I don't set the cost that's on your bill. I just send the bill and collect the funds, and hold on to those again, and disperse those for the city. So in thinking about kind of in preparation to this, what is an analogy that most folks would understand between the two offices? You can think of Tiffany like a doctor. So she is the person that provides a diagnosis. She is the person that writes the prescription. And you can think of our office as the pharmacist. We are the ones that have all of the medication that you need, but we take exactly what that prescription is and we fill it accordingly, making sure you don't get any less or any more than what you need, so that you can be well. So that's kind of the separation. When you go to a doctor, they're not doing everything full service. There's a segregation of duties there. And you want that as a taxpayer. You don't want the person that is setting the cost for your personal property to also collect it as well. So, and we work very close in tandem
So
in what we do.
So something you mentioned earlier, Sanu, was about the separation of duties. So I love the way you explained it, and I really appreciate the analogy. But and you are responsible to the people.
Correct.
So you oversee your office, and who oversees you, or how does that work?
So, what we have oversight from the state. They provide the guidelines in the state code. So, everything that we do is followed by the code, various codes under 58.13 that I'm learning to memorize all of the wonderful code sections that outline, how early we have to send bills out, when penalty and interest is applied to an account, how our relief programs operate. It outlines pretty much everything and gives us guidance. And if it's not there, then I'm sure that there is an attorney general's opinion on an issue that has come up in a locality that we have. And so annually, we have Treasurer Association conferences where we go through all of the code changes. As many of you know, July 1, we have some new bills that are coming into fruition. So we get updated on all of those things. I don't have all of my office furniture, but if I showed you all these code books that were in here, it'd probably make your head spin. So I'm glad that I'm able to go online and look them up quickly.
Oh, yes.
But yes, it governs everything that we do, but again, accountable to the people of Newport News for all of my actions.
Thank you so much for that clarity. So, once a resident pays their real estate or personal property taxes, what is the exact responsibility of your office regarding the safekeeping, investment, and distribution of these funds?
Yes. So I'm sure all of you, if you live in Newport News, sent in your money by June 5th. And you should have received notice by April to send those funds in a timely manner. We try not to do things at the 11th hour here, give people more than enough time to pay their bills. So once those funds come in, we properly account for all of those funds. And we make sure that we deposit those funds in a timely manner to make sure that they reflect on the city's books so that they know how much revenue is coming in by the cycles. Once that happens, then we safeguard it. We manage all the bank accounts for the city. So we ensure that there is enough funds to cover the expenses for the city. We also are tasked with investing the funds for the city. And that is also outlined in the code as well. Nothing risky. I know a lot of folks say, there's a lot of investments out there regarding Bitcoin and all the risky things, and we cannot invest in those type of instruments. We want things that are going to be liquid and available to the locality in the event that it needs it for whatever it may, anything that might arise. Once we do that, and not only just the bank accounts for the city, but most folks don't know, like our schools and our sheriff's department, our departments, waterworks, we manage all of those accounts. So early on in my 6 months, started meeting with departments to do just an analysis of, is our banking relationship working for you? Are there any changes on your staff? How many people have access to view only for your accounts, making sure that they're practicing safe and secure practices, right? To make sure they don't jeopardize or compromise our bank accounts. And so we'll be doing those annually. We haven't got through all of the accounts because we have many in the city. But those are some of the functions there once your money comes in. And then we're dispersing, like I said, paying the city's bills and making sure that any obligations, whether that is for a construction project or building a school or roads, making sure that we are managing those funds and they are available to satisfy the city's debts.
I'm just appreciative how you talked about the investment and how you're managing all these different bank accounts and things of that nature, because you're managing millions of dollars, and it's important for the citizens to realize that you are fiduciary responsible for this money and to ensure that this money is invested in safe instruments to continue to grow. So thank you so much for that clarity, because I don't think that citizens, all of us, know all the different nuances that interconnect when it comes to managing these things in the treasurer's office. So I want to ask, as we all know, this economy has been difficult all the way around. And certainly it has hit the city of Newport News. You have so many of the citizens who are federal employees, state employees, and they may have been impacted. So, what type of programs do you have available for our senior citizens, our veterans, or just folks who are just really trying to stay afloat, frankly?
Yeah, yeah. We've been having a lot of conversation about the economy. One thing that I don't think many people know is that the city of Newport News actually has an economist. And I met with her a couple of months ago, and we just talked about what are some data points that we can collect to see the correlation between what is happening with geopolitical events and our collection rates, right? And how long we may be seeing some of our small businesses take to pay their personal property tax, opposed to when market conditions are great. And so we want to see that so that we can develop programs intentionally for those that we know that are experiencing or that are impacted the most. So that's one. And I think that's really exciting for us to be able to build out those metrics, to really look at that and analyze that over time, especially as we understand that things in our economy are cyclical. So I think that that will give us an ability to kind of forecast in the future. COVID was kind of the anomaly where we just had to kind of pick things out the box and figure it out. But I think that as we see things ebb and flow, that'll help us for future things, unless I won't even speak it. We have another anomaly. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it
there. We don't want no more.
We don't even want to speak it. I'll leave it there. But as far as programs, we work really closely with the Commissioner of Revenue, and I'm sure Tiffany had talked about our senior relief programs for those that are on a fixed income, our deferred programming for individuals that can get their real estate and their personal property taxes deferred. And for our veterans that are 100% total, permanently or totally disabled, that may be exempt for personal property tax and real estate. And in Newport News is up to one household and one vehicle. And that also applies to surviving spouses as well. But one of the things that we've been talking about is, how we can be more understanding and compassionate. We know that behind every bill, there is a story to why maybe somebody was late. Or I'm sure many of you follow the news. USPS is not doing the best job at getting us all timely mail. And so that we understand that sometimes you may not receive a bill. That doesn't excuse you from not paying your taxes, but we do understand those circumstances can get in the way of someone being on time. And so effective in the new fiscal year coming up, July 1, we're actually doing a reorg and putting our entire staff through training through what I call collection and care. We need to take the time to listen to every story that comes through as a barrier, and not every story will qualify, right? But taking the time to listen to what are the circumstances that are preventing folks from paying on time and seeing how we can work with them. We are revamping our payment plan options. There's also some guidance coming down from the General Assembly around how we can collect delinquent taxes. And so one of those is wage liens. I'm sure folks are familiar with it. It's when you don't pay your taxes and you have avoided us like the Black Plague, unfortunately, we can put a lien against your wages. And so there is a criteria where we can do 25% or we can do 100% based off of a certain income threshold. And the position that our office is going to take is a flat 25%, because we will be setting up our residents for failure if we take 100% of your paycheck. We know that you have other responsibilities. We have families that you have to care for. You have to get back and forth to the job, hopefully, that you're using to pay your taxes twice a year. And so we are taking the conservative position of doing that, but hoping that it doesn't get to that point. We want people to come talk to us. I know that taxes are not everyone's favorite thing to do, but instead of not making that free phone call to
Mhm.
us where we can work with you, it
Mhm.
can cost you penalty and interest, and that compounds over time, which can make it impossible over a number of months and years if you let it go that far. So our collection and care, starting with making sure that we're listening to folks and their circumstance, seeing what we can do to assist
Mhm.
them, and then setting them up on a payment plan and an option there, and understanding the bill. And there are sometimes, the assessment is incorrect. Maybe we didn't have the right information and
Mhm.
we have to redirect you back to the Commissioner of Revenue's office to make an adjustment to fix that bill. And that happens sometimes too, but we won't know that until people call us and let us know what they're experiencing and what's happening. So I'm really excited about that program. Um, I also had a meeting with Department of Human Services, and we have some things brewing and working that I'm excited to announce later this fall about how we could really help those that need um, assistance the most, because we're all
Appreciate
feeling it
that.
right now.
I really appreciate collection and care because it's so important to listen to be understood, to understand them, right? As opposed to explaining why you should do this, because there are a lot of things that are coming quick, fast, in a hurry in
Yeah.
this season.
Yeah.
People may want to do what they're supposed to do, but they have other priorities. They have children to feed, they have a mortgage to pay, they have car note to pay so they can get to the job so they can eventually pay you. And I appreciate that you are pouring into your staff so that they can step away from the harsh way of collecting as opposed to listening to hear them and develop ways within the confines of your policies and the code to be able to support you. So thank you for that clarity and
Yeah.
thank you for just being creative. I really appreciate you. And I'm
Yeah,
sure the
we're all
citizens of Newport News do the same.
I hope so. But call us. Please call. Anyone on the call, tell your friends, tell your family members, your staff members, call us so we can work with you. Again, we know taxes are not everyone's favorite, but I'm sure we'll get to that later in the conversation about how we want to pivot that narrative. But yeah, give us a call and let us work with you.
I like that because I'm definitely going into that because we want to pivot that narrative. We want to make sure that one, we pay the taxes that are owed because that supports our city. But we also want to make sure that we let you know if we have a barrier and what opportunities do we have to work around it? Can we make payment plans? What can we do? Are we qualified for a certain program because we may not even know that we're qualified. We may think that our income is too high and it might not even be. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
thank
And
you
we
for
hear that
that.
oftentimes, especially with our senior relief program.
Hmm.
People just didn't know about it. So that's a conversation Tiffany and I had about how do we get the word out there.
Yes.
My office is obligated to send everyone a bill, so I can send a notice about those programs, and maybe you'll share it with a family member or a neighbor, right, and tell them about a program that they didn't know that they qualify for. So, not my great idea. There's some other treasurers that are doing that you can put an insert in. So, hopefully, we'll be filling your mailbox with not just a bill, but some information too.
That's awesome. And no need to reinvent the wheel. If you can learn from a sister or brother treasurer, let's bring that over to the city of Newport News. So thank you so much for that. So we kind of moving into beyond the taxes. Can you share more about the extra services that are available, such as passport processing, DMV services? Could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we're not at Passport Services. I did get some feedback from some taxpayers inquiring about that. But what we do offer is DMV services. So we are your DMV Select. We have a location at City Hall. We also have one uptown in Denby. If you're trying to avoid the long lines, you can come see us. And I'm sure the question is why DMV? It is one of the administrative functions that we can place on an account. If you have not paid your taxes, we put a DMV stop so we can prevent
Yes.
you from renewing your tags. So why not come and pay us? And then you can get your tags reissued while you're here and take care of all of your other DMV needs. So we offer those services at both offices. and we get folks in and out. I promise you. So come see us for that. And then another service that we offer is you can actually pay your waterworks and HRSD utility bills with us.
Oh,
So you can come and take care of those. Um, and we are working on some exciting news there that I'll also have to hold on to until the fall to make it more
doggone.
accessible. I know.
You
We've
got to
been
give us something. You
I
got to give
know.
us something.
Just know we are making it more accessible for you to pay your utility bills. So we're excited to work with our other city departments to just bring accessibility to our taxpayers. We can't be your one-stop shop for everything, but we want to make sure that you can take care of as many of your needs as possible under one roof. We know that gas is high. We know that
Mm-hmm.
there are transportation challenges for some folks
Mm-hmm.
in our community. And so if you can take care of four things in one trip, we want to make that happen for you. So just stay tuned for some things that we're doing. We're listening to our taxpayers. They are not shy of letting me know what they want, but of course it has to kind of align with what our priorities are, and also is it in our wheelhouse to do, right? Does it make sense for our office to do? Because it may be a great idea, but it might live and belong with another
Okay.
department or a constitutional office. So yeah.
I didn't think about it that way. I think a lot of times we think about convenience, accessibility. And I had mentioned the passport. Is that something that's not in your wheelhouse, or is that something you're considering?
So it is in the wheelhouse for some treasurer offices.
Okay.
We're still assessing. The jury's still out on that one.
Okay. Well, we want you to think
You'll be the
about it.
first to know. I'll let you. We'll get you a
Please
sneak peek
do. We
announcement.
want you to think about it because we've already put that in prophecy. So we
Yeah.
don't have to send it off and we can just come to you. So we appreciate your consideration of it. Now, I know that technology is also important to you. I know you've only been in office for 6 months, and I know there's a lot of antiquated systems that have been in place before you came on board. So, what are you looking at? What are you looking at trying to just kind of bring up in the technology component?
Yeah. So uh, while on the campaign trail, I told the taxpayers I made a promise that I would try to save them money and find opportunities to work with the Commissioner of Revenue's office.
Mm-hmm.
Proud to say within the first 60 days, Tiffany and I were able to work out an agreement where we were able to share an IT analyst. Again, as I talk about how close our offices work together, it's
Mm-hmm.
really important to have someone that understands the
Mm-hmm.
function of both offices and can bridge the gap in kind of our workflow and processes to
Mm-hmm.
make things easier, to save our taxpayers money, to save in
Mm-hmm.
postage
Mm-hmm.
and notices. And so we are sharing a IT specialist, analyst who has helped us streamline a whole lot. That was a vacant position in our office for about 2 years. So she had a lot of catching up to do on our side and still is. So that is a position that I'm really excited about because we're assessing our workflow, what's
Mm-hmm.
working, what's not working, did we over
Mm-hmm.
architect a thing, and where are some opportunities for us to modernize. And so one of the projects that we worked on, and I know you'll love this because I know that you're a pet lover
Yes, ma'am.
and owner, is our
Yes,
animal
ma'am.
license process. So our animal license process was very manual. We had a paper application. You had to mail it to us. We mail it back to
Mm-hmm.
you. We mail the tag back to you. And so, in assessing that, we are happy to announce that this summer we're going to be releasing an request for proposal to digitize our entire animal license process,
Awesome.
so that we will be able to get you registered for your pet, your dog, your cat. Look at multi-year options. We were limited to 1 year renewals, which was very labor intensive for our staff, and of course the
Mm-hmm.
cost
Mm-hmm.
was was not worth what we bring in revenue, and our compliance rate was really low. And it's because we haven't modernized the process and we have not made it easy for our pet
Mm-hmm.
owners and community. And so we're excited to launch that project. We're working with animal welfare. We've had conversation with SPCA. Um, I don't get a lot of hate mail, but the one hate mail that I do get is about our animal license project. So I had
There's
to
a lot of
change that.
animal parents out here. There's a lot of paw parents.
I did. So we prioritized that and worked with our excuse me, city auditors to kind of look through our process of what we've done in previous years and how can we modernize and advance that. So I'm really excited about that process and working with our community partners. And that's just one example of how we're just taking something that was very manual and antiquated and modernizing it and looking at new systems. And it's not the only one. I've got 3 in the pipeline that I'm looking at as far as, what are some different vendors that we can use.
Mm-hmm.
What is it really that we want to get out of this? And what's the
Mm-hmm.
pain in the process for us? And what's the pain in the process for the taxpayer?
Correct.
So another one of those is our client portal. Our taxpayer portal is painful. It doesn't allow our taxpayers to retrieve receipts. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't allow them to set up automatic payments. With flexibility and date.
Mm.
It doesn't allow for them to really just kind of have autonomy and ownership in the process to get notifications and get updated about things. And
Mm-hmm.
we find that sometimes taxpayers get caught off guard. And then, God forbid you got multiple vehicles or multiple businesses, you
Right.
can't, you can't kind of put everything in a cart and check out. And so taxpayers, I heard you. I heard you on the campaign trail. I heard you June 5th. And so we are in that design process this summer where we are looking at revamping that to make it easier for our taxpayers. We're also looking at how we can allow you to see your past due balances because
Okay.
we send you a lot of current
Mm-hmm.
bills, but let's say you've got that lingering $15 or $30 balance that you were
Mm-hmm.
short, and now we're charging you penalty and interest, and that's
Mm-hmm.
compounding. We want you to be able to see that and clear that up really quickly. So, again, just that helps with how we're just embracing technology to bring not only efficiency, but just full transparency to our taxpayer and some autonomy so that they don't feel like they have to go through a maze to pay the taxes that they love to pay so much.
I saw that. Love to pay so
Love
much.
to pay. Oh yeah, it's a whole campaign, Vicky. I
Oh,
love to pay taxes. It's a
oh,
campaign. It's
okay.
coming. It's coming.
Absolutely. And we're here to amplify that because we
Yes.
want people to be in compliance
There we
with their
go.
taxes because we
There we
don't
go.
want you to be out there riding around with no, yeah, we don't
Yeah,
want that.
we don't want you riding around dirty. We don't want you to do
There we
that.
go. There we
Mm-mm,
go.
mm-mm, mm-mm.
So, can you share with us one service that the public probably doesn't know exists in the treasurer office?
Um, Outside of DMV Waterworks, I think most folks would be surprised that we invest the funds for the city. I think that
Mm,
most folks know that we collect, but
mm-hmm,
we are tasked with, we have a whole investment policy where we look at short-term investments, whether that
mm-hmm,
is renewing CDs anywhere from six
mm-hmm,
months to 12 months to make sure those are liquid. Um, Treasury bills that are U.S. backed, and constantly looking at the market. So when the new Fed chair was speaking last week, I was listening intently to see where our market is going and what's happening. Again, because we are restricted by code, right, and what we can invest, and we want to make sure that funds are as liquid as possible for whatever may come up. So just because it sounds good on Squawk Box of we should put all of our money in said investment doesn't mean that we can do that with your hard-earned taxpayer dollars. We have to be very conservative in how we're investing. We have a finance committee group that meets, and so we give our report outs of what we're seeing and what we're doing here in the office. And it's really important to make sure that as the treasurer, we understand the vision and the goals for city council and what the
mm-hmm,
city is doing,
mm-hmm.
so that we can make sure that there's alignment there. So our relationship, we work very closely together to make sure that we can be responsive for the things that they need to get done.
So it's funny because again, I didn't know that the city, of course, they have investments, but I didn't know the connection. with the treasurer's office. Are you able to share with the community what type of investments that you're looking at and why you were looking and watching the Fed chair? Could you
Yeah,
share with us why?
absolutely. So the Fed chair gives us insight into what the interest rates are going to look like. And of course, let's use CDs, for example. Those are based on the current interest rates that are available. So, of course, we want the best interest rates possible. Since being in office for 6 months and having to renew some of our certificate of deposits, we have seen lower interest rates. We definitely pay attention to what is happening with the market. We definitely go back and forth with our bank partners to make sure that we're getting the best rate for your hard-earned
Mhm.
taxpayer dollars. Um, and so those are more of our short term. Our treasury bills, we're looking at 1 year to 3 years out
Mhm.
with those. And looking at right now, we're hovering at a 4.3% return on
Mhm.
those.
Mhm.
Again, very conservative, right? With those. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. Um, and I think it's really important that we just can't have funds just sitting in a savings account, right? And many of
Correct.
you have savings accounts and they're not high interest bearing accounts. We want to make as much money as possible to help us reinvest that back into our schools, into our roads, and get some of the capital improvements that City Council has laid out, which they actually just approved a couple months ago in City Council that they'll be announcing later this year. So we want to make sure that we're able to get as much um, return on your investment as possible to keep moving our city forward.
So, can the citizens of Newport News access this information? Is this public information? If so, how can they access it so they can get an idea of what's going on?
Yeah, so right now it's not accessible, but it is something that is on my list of things
Okay.
to show folks. Um, a pie chart of kind of how much we're collecting in real estate, how much we're
Okay.
collecting in personal property, and then where are those investments? How is that made up for you? So I have seen some great models from some other treasurer offices that are doing it really well and being transparent about that. So that is something that's definitely on the list to bring. I think it's important for residents to know again how their money is being invested, how it's being used, and that might complete the entire process, right? You know how city council is,
Mhm.
what their vision is. We release the budget and we're pretty transparent where money is going to be spent. And so
Mhm.
now you need to know kind of how money is being invested in and what kind of returns we're looking at. So yeah.
Absolutely, because I don't think people knew how that money was being invested. I think they probably just thought of it in what is relatable to them. I've got a savings account, I got a checking account, I'm paying bills. So thank you so much for that clarity. And also thank you so much for your vision regarding making that information more transparent, which will help our citizens be more engaged in the process. So, Sanu, we have another question for you. Is the distribution of the portfolio something that is mandated by code as well, or is it just spelled out that you have to be fiscally responsible?
So I have to be fiscally responsible. It does. The code gives me some do's and don'ts. We have an internal investment policy, and we will be revamping that investment policy that says what percentage of so short-term investments we can hold, treasury bills that we can hold. So we are working with our partner PFM. We have a group of advisors that we work with
Mhm.
that manage that portfolio, which I am meeting with them quarterly now moving forward because I'd like to know what are some opportunities if we need to pivot in our portfolio, or opportunities that we need to take advantage of given that market conditions, uh, you know, change drastically, and we can get more return on investment. But our internal investment policy does mirror a lot of what is laid out in the code for us.
Fantastic. And what's that code again, Sanu?
Girl, I know it starts with 58.13. I'll get you the other subsections afterwards. I'm telling you, I've got little index cards, and I'm like, I know, because some of my big brothers and big sister treasurers can, I mean, off the cuff. So it's coming. Give me a year. It's coming. It's coming.
I think it's coming faster than a year. I just appreciate what you've shared with us thus far and just the information about empowering us to know what the treasurer actually does and what not what we think the treasurer is doing, right?
Yeah.
So, with that being said, what do you want the audience to leave with? One thing that you want them leave with, because you've got a really big, you got a lot of work cut out for you, but you're the right woman for it. So, what do you want the audience to leave with knowing about the treasurer's office?
I want you to know that we're here to serve you and that we are committed to changing the dynamic of our relationship with the community. It has been purely transactional, and I want us to build a relationship
Mm,
with our taxpayers. I want them to know that when you hand that check or swipe or tap that card, you feel like you are one getting the exceptional customer service, but
mhm,
also that your money is safe,
mm,
and that you have the right to question anything about our process, right? And if it's not in our wheelhouse, and I told this to taxpayers while I was campaigning that, you work hard for your money. And you can track your money all the way through the city. If you don't like a decision that's made with it, you need to go take it to city council. If you're not happy about the tax rate, you need to go take it to city council, right? But if I can be an advocate in any way and amplify those issues or those concerns in the spaces that I am honored to be in because you have voted for me to be in those spaces, I will do that part and bring it to you. And that I will always listen. And just like, Vicky said it right here, passports. So now I got to put it on my whiteboard and see if it's in alignment with what we're doing, right?
thank
And what
you.
year that fits into the plan. Then I will do that. So always here to listen. Please contact us. I've had taxpayers that came by just to tell me, they were happy to see my name on a bill, and I said, keep that energy and keep paying on time. So,
Because we want to change the narrative. The
yeah,
treasurer's office is not a scary place.
no,
The
no,
treasurer office is here to listen,
yeah,
to support, provide you with the appropriate guidance. And yeah, we're here.
yeah.
Dolores, please ask your question. You can drop it in the chat if you like. Dolores Williams has a question for you, Sanu. Let me get there. Uh, Dolores, please drop your question in the chat.
I do have one last thing while Dolores is
Have,
getting her
you have
question together.
time. You have
Another way that you can stay updated on what we're doing here in the office and some of the changes that we're making. For the very first time, we have launched on social media. So we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, and we are on Nextdoor. So please follow us at Newport News Treasurer's Office or Newport News Treasurer. That is where you can stay informed about changes that we're making to the office, deadline reminders, budgeting tips, news from our office. We were intentional about those platforms and what we are going to put there to engage not only our seniors or what I like to call our wise counsel, but even our young people that are buying a car for the first time, or if you're selling, you know, that vehicle to someone, all the things that you need to know to avoid being responsible for the taxes for a vehicle because you didn't have a bill of sale. That's just one example. So
Oh,
we
wow.
want to be able to educate folks on some of the hiccups that we're seeing in the office and some of the challenges and barriers, but that is one way. And another exciting role that we've added to the office, first of its kind, is our community liaison. So Tamiko Cherry Burrell is going to be out in the community educating folks about what the treasurer's office does and demystifying all things taxes. Again, because you love paying taxes. So we're going to work on that.
We're changing the narrative, but we really appreciate the ability that y'all are just driving in there is that the information is power. Information, we want you to be informed, engaged, and excited about paying taxes. Isn't that right, Sanu? Be
Yes, it
excited.
is. Yes, it is.
So this is the question. Can you consider an afterpay to pay taxes if we need help paying taxes like we do for other things in the community? And this was a question that Miss Dolores Williams wanted to pose on the table for you, Sanu.
Dolores, that's a great question. I just want to ask for clarification. Are you talking like a pay now, pay later? Like your Klarna accounts? Is that what you're referring to?
She said yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we are considering and looking at those options. It does require some system changes. So we understand that if you can do it for your shoes or your favorite outfit, why can't you do it for your taxes? So it is on the table. We're looking at it. We're looking at it.
Well,
Absolutely.
we appreciate you looking at it, and we just appreciate your creativity, your willingness to research, the willingness to hear from your citizens who, as you stated, are your bosses. And
Yes.
I really appreciate you saying that. So I want to make sure that we are not missing any other questions. And if you do, please drop it in the chat. But Sanu, also give them your contact information. Give us the website again. And
Yes.
also let us know the show's social media handles again, please.
Yes, absolutely. So you can find us at nnva.gov/treasurer, and we're working on revamping that page as well. But you can find some information about our office there and our contact information. Our email address is going to be treasurer@nnva.gov. If you want to find us on social media, it's going to be NN Treasurer or Newport News Treasurer's Office on Facebook. So please start liking and sharing. We're going to be doing a huge launch July 1, but of course had to give the exclusive on the Vicki Cullens Beyond the Ballot. So you got to hear. You got to hear.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to stay over and just have a conversation with us. And we appreciate Shannon as well for joining us. I had told you we wanted to end with you. We're thrilled that you were elected treasurer. We're thrilled that you're a member of our chapter. So we wanted to close it out with you. And do you have anything else that you want to share? And then I want to bring our president, Kimberly Brothers, forth to just offer greetings or just to close it out for us.
Yes.
Anything
Well,
else you want to share?
I really enjoyed Shannon's interview, and I know you started with the bison, so I guess you saved a pirate for the best for last. So it's all right. That's it. I just had to get my last. I just had to get my last pirate joke.
What it was?
It's nothing but love. Me and Shannon go back and forth. I think it's great that that we're able to work together in this capacity and find just connections in our work. But yeah, go Pirates.
Absolutely. And as someone else had stated, both of y'all are history makers. And we just really, really appreciate every one of y'all for just joining us on this Beyond the Ballot series. It just took the curtain down and gave the residents of Newport News an opportunity to go up close and personal with their constitutional officers, just not at election time. So thank you so much for this, Sanu. We really appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Check back in with us in a year after we hit that year mark. Please do.
Absolutely. We will, because you've got some stuff that you're not giving us yet and that we got to wait, which I'm feeling some kind of way, but I'm going to let that go. I'll let it go because you got to do it in your time. But we want to bring you back. We definitely want to bring you back because we need that exclusive, right?
Yes. I feel a TV show brewing. I don't know. I see something brewing.
Two, a YouTube, right?
There you go. Oh, I like. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sanu. We really appreciate you and I appreciate your time. Can we bring Kimberly Brothers forth?
I am right here. Thank you. I'm going to be very brief because I am actually not president until July 1. So I will turn it over to Soror Griffin, but I do want to thank you and the Social Action Committee. This has been a great experience. Glad everybody is engaged and we are beyond the ballots. Great to see Sanu. We are excited. I'm like her. Maybe this is something that we will bring forward into the new year and new administration. But thanks again to you and your committee and Sarah Griffin.
Sarah Griffin, I just put you out too soon. I apologize. Sarah Griffin, you're on mute.
It looks like she's frozen.
It does look like she's frozen. I jumped a little fast, Kim. I apologize.
It's okay. We understand. I don't know if she's on. Okay, looks like, is she still frozen?
I'm not sure. Michelle, can you check?
Yeah, she's still frozen.
Okay. Well, I want to thank Shannon and Sanu. Both of y'all were wonderful, and we really appreciate your time, your energy, and your information. And certainly, Shannon, will be reaching out to you to support you as well as with Sanu, because we want to ensure that the city of Newport News, all the citizens, the residents, are informed, engaged, and empowered to be viable and to use their voices in their community. So thank y'all so much. This is the last episode of the Beyond the Ballot series. I appreciate every single one of you who have joined us. And I hope that you walk away with information that not only that you can use, but that you will share. Thank you so much. I am Vicki R. Williams Cullins. I am the Social Action Chair of the Newport News Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And I thank President Quanda Griffin for supporting myself and my committee as we put forth this Beyond the Ballot series. So thank y'all so much. Y'all have a wonderful rest
Sarah
of your
Griffin
evening.
is back, by the way. There she is.
Sarah Griffin, where are you?
I don't know. My computer is doing its own thing. It said, no, she has nothing to share. Good night.
We'll let you close out.
Thank you guys for coming. And again, as Sore Brothers already said, thank you to you, Vicki, and your committee for putting this together. I think the entire series has been very informative, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you, and we appreciate your leadership and your support. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you so much again. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Great job.
Thank you.